Hello and welcome to episode 318 of the Thinking Lsat podcast. Today on the show, we talked about a logical reasoning question.
Yep, we had a parallel reasoning question to lead off.
Yeah. Yep.
And then we did a whole bunch of personal statements, including one that was really, really good.
Really good. Yeah. And then some that were funny. Yeah. But in any case, thanks for submitting your statement to the show to be demolished. This will air on Monday, October 4th, 2021. The January LSAT registration deadline is, well, not for a couple months. It's December 3rd. So you got some time. After that, yeah. Before that, you have the October LSAT and the November LSAT. If you haven't already joined Nathan's October 2021 LSAT study group, please do. It's Thursdays at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. All you need is a demon-free account, and Nathan will commit you to studying at least a little bit every day. It's a great way to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, just a little weekly check-in to see what kind of progress you're making. As the October test approaches, we'll talk a little bit more specifically about things like, should I actually take it or should I withdraw? But we also just do kind of an open-ended Q&A. So whether you're taking the October 2021 test or not, you're still more than welcome to come to that free class and ask whatever you want to ask.
Let's jump in to this logical reasoning question.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, this is test 73, section 2, question 17. I can never remember whose turn it is.
Well, let's say it's my turn to read the question and your turn to do the question.
Sounds good.
All right, so here's the passage. And I really like this tip. This was a pearl from episode 217 to blur out the parts of the question that we're not getting to yet, right? So mentally, the answer choices, totally blurred. Absolutely not looking at those. That's the last thing I'm going to do.
Yep.
The question, also blurred. Don't give a shit. Don't care what question. Absolutely do not want to know what type of question this is. It does not help me, and in fact would probably hurt me to know. I don't want to know what the question is. I don't want to know what the answer choices say. That's all blurred. Looking at this passage, really there's two sentences there, and I'm kind of blurring the second sentence.
Yeah.
Right? We're taking this one bit at a time, and we're going to actually understand this shit.
Yeah.
So the first sentence says, if Suarez is not the most qualified of the candidates for sheriff, then Anderson is.
Okay. When I hear that, I'm kind of thinking to myself, okay, if Suarez is not the most qualified, then Anderson is. That means I don't know whether Suarez is the most qualified, but if Suarez is the most qualified of the candidates for sheriff, then done. That's the case. And the only other option is that Suarez is not the most qualified. And in that situation, Anderson is. So although this is an if-then statement, I'm actually kind of walking away from it, just thinking to myself, okay, either Suarez is the most qualified or Anderson is the most qualified.
It's one of those two.
Yep.
That's it. I noticed that you didn't say the C word.
Oh, contrapositive?
Yeah. I think a lot of people
didn't even know what you were talking about.
Exactly. I think so many people would go straight to like, oh, and they would start writing.
Oh yeah. If Anderson is not
S most qualified, cross it out, arrow, Anderson most qualified, contrapositive, Anderson most qualified, not, then Suarez most qualified.
Totally useless. Totally. In fact, it's more than useless. It's damaging, right? Because it becomes like mental overload. What you really want to walk away from this sentence is an intuitive understanding of what the fuck is going on. And what is going on is either S is the most qualified or A is the most qualified. Now, I know I use letters there, but Suarez is the most qualified or Anderson is the most qualified. That's the big takeaway.
It's one of those two. Yeah,
simple too.
This is an example, I think, of where people understand the LSAT just fine until they start studying for the LSAT. And then when they start studying for the LSAT on the first day of class, they have a instructor, and I used to be this instructor. on the first day of class, writing shit on the board with
Mhm.
arrows and contrapositives. I
Yeah.
thought that that was a thing that we had to teach on the first day of LSAT class. And for that, I apologize, because you do not need to teach that shit on the first day of LSAT class. In fact, you might never need to teach that shit. There's easier ways of dealing with these if-then statements. The word contrapositive never appears on the LSAT. And you don't need to know anything about how to formally diagram this shit in order to understand that if it's not Suarez, it's Anderson. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one or the other. Okay, got it.
Yep.
Never diagram on LSAT logical reasoning. I mean, it's like maybe once per test max, but even then, I don't think you need to. I think you're getting yourself in trouble with the diagramming. So just don't do it.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. All right. Second sentence. That just unblurred for me, right? We
Sure.
understood the first sentence. So now the second sentence unblurs and we read, thus, if the most qualified candidate is elected and Suarez is not elected, then Anderson will be.
I'll be honest with you. When you read thus, if the most qualified candidate is elected, I really wanted you to just stop right there.
Yeah, good point. Let me try it again.
Sure.
So rather than unblur the whole sentence,
Yeah.
I unblur the first bit of it. Thus, if the most qualified candidate is elected.
Yep. You stop there and I'm thinking to myself, well, the most qualified candidate, I don't know who it is, but it's either Suarez or Anderson. So if the most qualified candidate is elected, then one of those two people has been elected.
Okay.
I'm ready for more information.
Right. And it says, and Suarez is not elected.
Okay. Well, then it must be Anderson.
And it finishes, then Anderson will be elected.
And that's exactly what I just said. So I feel good about this argument. I'm like, yeah, it's valid.
Pretty clear example there. I think if you tried to, if you read all of that at once,
yep,
you wouldn't even know whether it made sense.
Nope.
If you take it one bit at a time, like Ben did there, or like actually corrected me and made me take it one bit at a time, not only does it make sense, but you can actually predict what they're going to ultimately conclude. And so at that point, you're like, oh, this is valid logic.
Yeah. Or you predict what they should conclude, right? Or can conclude.
Yeah.
And if they do something different, then you're like, nope.
You'll notice it. Right
away. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, I think what most students do, most novices do for sure, is they just bite off more than they can chew, right? If you put this whole thing in your brain at once, you choke on it.
Yep.
But if you just kind of nibble on it one bit at a time, then it's easy to swallow. The reasoning, so now the question unlocks, right? We know that we've understood the argument, and in fact, it's a valid argument, which only happens like a few times per test or something, where the argument actually makes sense, and you have to register that. Then the question says, the reasoning in which one of the following is most similar to the reasoning in the argument above?
Okay, I'm looking for an argument that's similar, parallel.
Yeah, but what students do, what novices do, is they go into some weird matching mode where they're looking to like match pieces and parts. And what are you looking for, Ben? Like what's your I think as you go into these answers, you're looking for more of like a vibe.
Yeah, well, one, it's going to be a valid argument.
That's the vibe I'm talking about.
Yeah. So if it's not valid, that's definitely wrong. And I would
Ben, what is a valid argument?
A valid argument is where the evidence proves the conclusion.
Yeah, and that, like, I think that's a thing that people miss a lot. There is such a thing as a valid argument. It's when the premises force the conclusion to be true.
Yep.
And that did happen here.
Yeah.
Can you talk me through it? Can you sell me on the idea that this is a valid argument?
Sure. So the premise was that there are basically two candidates who are the most qualified, or two candidates who could be the most qualified. It's either Suarez or Anderson. It's got to be one of those two people. And then it was like, hey, if the most qualified candidate is elected, so one of those two people, and it's not Suarez, then I'm already saying in my head, it's got to be Anderson. And that's exactly what this person ended up saying. Then Anderson will be elected. So if the evidence provided forces me to agree with the conclusion, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now, then the conclusion is proven by that evidence and the argument as a whole is valid.
Okay.
Now,
and that's a thing, like that's a whole thing that you need to understand, that it is possible to prove a conclusion correct. Just students just totally whiff on that. Like people who are scoring, let's say anything below 150, you might not have yet grasped that there are arguments that are complete and proven and valid. And then there are arguments that are incomplete, unproven, downright flawed, just make no sense. But this argument makes sense. And if you catch that, then this question becomes vastly easier.
Oh, absolutely. And it is true that most arguments on the test are invalid, but you still need to try to see what the evidence does prove and how that's different from what the conclusion actually says. Here, it's not different, so it's valid. I would do one more thing before going into the answer choices, because it's asking for an argument that's parallel. I'm expecting, not just expecting, I am demanding that the correct answer be valid as well. But in my head, I'm going to kind of recap the argument just so I can get a sense of its structure. And basically what I was thinking in my head is, okay, there are two people, there are two options who are most qualified. And so if under one of these circumstances, it's not one of those people, then it's the other. Like that's a rough outline of the argument. So I'm expecting the correct answer to follow something along those lines. Great. I don't care how it words it.
Great. So now A unblurs.
Yep.
You know what you're looking for.
Yep.
A valid argument that roughly follows, well, it's got to be one of these two things. So if it's not this one, it's that one.
Yep.
Right. So how about like you're either home or away. So if you're not home, then you must be away.
Yeah.
That would work, right?
That would work.
Could be the correct answer, right?
Could be.
Okay. A says, if the excavation contract does not go to the lowest bidder, then it will go to Caldwell.
Okay. I don't love this, but there are two options here, either the lowest bidder or Caldwell. So I kind of wish there was another person, but okay, I'll go with it.
So if Q gets the contract and Caldwell does not.
Thank you for stopping, by the way, right there. I'm kind of scratching my head. I'm like, who's Q? But okay, if Q gets the contract and Caldwell does not, then it must have, Q must be the lowest bidder.
Well, whoever said that the contract had to go to the lowest bidder, though? Oh, if it doesn't go to the lowest bidder, then it will go to Caldwell. Sorry, I missed that part.
It's okay.
I fell asleep. So if Q gets the contract and Caldwell does not, oh yeah, then Q has to, okay. And then it finishes with, then the contract will have been awarded to the lowest bidder.
Okay. I guess that makes sense.
Valid logic, I think.
Valid logic, yeah.
I think you probably can't eliminate this from the answers. It will turn out to be kind of strange if that's correct.
It's a little odd because it's like the two people weren't mentioned in the first. Like it was almost like it talked about the lowest bidder, whereas in the original we had Suarez, we had Anderson, and we had the most qualified candidate. So,
but if we abstract it, if we go a bit broader though, right? The given argument was if it's not Suarez, it's got to be Anderson. So that's two people. Got it, right?
Yeah.
But it's still, if it's not this, it's that.
Yeah.
Right? It's got to be one or the other. A starts with, it's either going to go to the lowest bidder or Caldwell.
Yeah.
So that's one or the other. And then it finishes with, so if somebody else gets it, not Caldwell, then that someone had to be the lowest bidder. And it's valid logic, and it does follow the same pattern. What do you think right now, 50-50? Do you think this is going to turn out to be the right answer? I say yes.
I don't know. It's hard to say. Part of my hesitation is the fact that like I don't have that clean like, oh, either Codwell or Q is the lowest bidder. Like I do eventually. No, actually, I never learned about that. Codwell might not be the lowest bidder. Maybe that doesn't matter. It's just it's a little strange to me. It just seems a little disconnected. But
But it fits the pattern
yeah,
of
I agree. I
it's
can
got to
keep
be
it
one or
open.
the other. If it's not one, it's the other. I
Yeah.
like I'm open to the possibility that this test is easier than we think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be surprised at all if B, C, D, and E all turn
Oh,
out to
just
just be
horrible. Yeah.
like just holes in them, downright flawed, missing pieces. At least with A, I can vouch for that conclusion. I can go, well,
It's
yeah,
valid. Yeah.
right.
100%. I agree.
And see, that's the thing that I think students miss more than anything on parallel reasoning questions.
Yeah.
They don't realize that you're supposed to be matching the overall argument, like it's a we need at a minimum,
Yeah.
we need a good argument, and we need, if it's not this, it's that. It's not this, so it has to be that.
Yep.
And A has that.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to be kind of surprised. The correct answer, if it's not A, the correct answer is going to have to be something like really perfect, like just obviously the correct.
Yeah.
B, if the lowest bidder on the sanitation contract is not Dylan, then it is Ramsey.
Okay. I like how this starts. It's similar to the original. Either Dylan or Ramsey is the lowest bidder.
So if the contract goes to the lowest bidder,
okay, one of those two people,
and it does not go to Dylan,
yeah, I'm predicting that it has to go to Ramsey because it's one of those two people.
Then it will go to Ramsey.
Ooh. Okay, that's valid as well. So we have two arguments that are valid. This one to me feels a lot closer to the original because I can just follow it. Like I got the two people. If it does go to the lowest bidder, but it's not one of them, then it's going to go to the other one. I really like how that matches up. I'm going to favor this one over A.
I agree. I think that this is maybe not the LSAC's finest work. It's like, on broad terms, A does match the argument.
If you separate yourself from the underlying subject matter, right? Like people, if you don't care about people.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think that they thought this one through really. Like I can see how it's a hard question, and I can see how it's valid in terms of like higher scorers are going to be able to pick B, not A.
Yep.
That said, what's the point? Like, what are you trying to test there? I don't really get the skill that they're looking to test, but I agree. It's like, I would have been happy with A if all the other answers are garbage, but then B is like just so obviously perfect.
Yeah.
So we eliminate A, and now B is like 99% of the time.
Now I'm really confident.
The correct answer.
I'd be shocked if it's something else.
Right. No, me too. C, if Capshaw is not awarded the landscaping contract, then Johnson will be.
Okay. So one of them will be.
So if the contract goes to the lowest bidder.
Whoa, I'm already hating it.
I don't think we read any further. That's a new element that wasn't in the first premise. What? Low bidder? No, we already knew that it's either Capshaw or Johnson. So I don't care really who the low bidder is. Anyway, D, if Holohan did not submit the lowest bid on the maintenance contract, then neither did Easton.
Okay, so then it's this new possibility that neither of them are this thing or submitted the lowest bid. It's just a non-starter. Okay.
E, if Perez is not the lowest bidder on the catering contract, then Sullivan is.
Okay, so one of them is the lowest bidder. That's good.
So if Sullivan does not get the contract and Perez does not get it either.
Okay. They both don't get it. We can just stop. Yep.
Yeah, it actually turns out to be valid logic because it completes with then it will not be awarded to the lowest bidder, which is true because these two were the lowest bidders.
Yeah.
It's just not parallel though, right? Like the given argument was it's got to be one or the other. If it's not one, it's got to be the other. E's
Yep.
like the low bidder is one or the other. So if it goes to someone else, then it didn't go to the low bidder. It's just not a, I don't know, just not a match.
Yeah, it's correct. I think, by the way, we stopped reading C, but I think C is valid as well.
Wow. Okay.
So it's an interesting mix here, but it
Yeah.
says, oh, yeah, go
That
ahead.
really shits all over my point that I was trying to make, which was frequently there will only be one answer choice that's even logically valid, right? They give you a valid argument, and then one of the answers is valid and four of them are invalid.
Yeah.
That did not happen here. Here they gave you a whole bunch of actually valid arguments, and you got to go a little bit deeper.
Yeah. It is. This is unusual, but still valuable. I mean, can you decide whether the argument is valid or invalid? That's a key skill for every question. Well, not every, but almost every question.
That would be a good drilling idea, by the way.
Yeah.
If we ever wanted to get into that, it would just be like
valid, invalid.
Yeah, valid or invalid on arguments, right? Like the choices could even be valid, incomplete, flawed, right? Where it's like, because sometimes the arguments just have a missing piece. So it's not valid because there's a missing piece. I guess you could also call that flawed in that
because it's insufficient.
It has a missing piece, right? Insufficient evidence or whatever. But okay, anyway, answers B. That was that for parallel reasoning question.
All right, so let's jump into these personal statements. If you want to submit a personal statement to the show, go to lsat.link/statement. You're going to be asked a bunch of questions, including one question that asks you to affirm that you followed all of our commandments that are listed on that form. So you have to go through each one and say yes before you can submit a personal statement to the show. But if you have, we'd be happy to read it.
Beautiful. If you want to listen to some very bad personal statements, you can go back to episode 318. That was a disappointing crop. Oh, sorry, 317. This is 318. And hope springs eternal. These ones are going to be better.
Let's hope.
Yep.
All right. So this first one is from Anna. I guess I'll read it. I'm a patent examiner at the United States Patent and Trademark Office, where I determine the patentability of electrosurgical devices and thermotherapies.
Excellent start. I don't think you need to capitalize patent examiner.
Nope. I don't think you do.
But you do need to capitalize United States Patent and Trademark Office because that's a proper noun. Patent examiner, I don't believe rises to the level of, I mean, even if that was president, I don't think it gets capitalized.
You wouldn't capitalize it unless you were adding it in front of your name, like President Biden, then you would capitalize president. Right. But if you just said the president of the United States, you lowercase it. So
well, you'd capitalize the United States, but you wouldn't capitalize president in president of the United States. Yeah. Okay. Good start though. Good start. If the phone rings right now, I'm like, damn, okay, patent, it like works in the actual US Patent and Trademark Office, you're in.
And your sentence is clear.
Yes.
And you're telling me something you're doing that makes sense. You determine the patentability of electrosurgical devices and thermotherapies. I'm like, okay, you're qualified. I don't know if I even need to read more. That's actually a win, right? If you can get your personal statement reader to stop reading because they're convinced that you're in, that's
Are they going to admit you after the very first sentence?
Yeah.
Which here I am.
Yeah.
Then great. That's a win. Like, so lead with your best fact. And that's a damn good fact.
Yeah.
Right. Like Anna is scoring points right off the bat.
And her writing, I don't know, it's just a small thing. Like there's no errors in that sentence. So except for the capitalization, which I don't think is going to disqualify you.
It's so common that it's like, it's incorrect, but it's so common that we'll allow it.
Yeah. She continues. By blending my biomedical background with law, I have submitted more than 300 legal correspondences, obtained 3 promotions, and reviewed more than 115 inventions.
Can you cut the first clause of that sentence, though?
Yeah, we presume you have a background in biomedicine or something like that.
Well, we've got your resume, and if you're working in the patent office, then we know that you have some technical background.
Yeah.
And I hate the just blending with law.
Blending.
It's
Yeah.
like stop, don't like claim too much. It's just like an over claim.
It is claiming too much.
Don't pretend. You don't need to oversell it. You're
You had
working
us
in the
at
patent
patent
office.
examiner. You had
Yeah.
us there. We're like, sweet, you are familiar with the law. And then you're like, oh, and then I blended it with the law. And it's like, yeah, we get
Wah, wah. Yeah, it's just this like
it.
exact opposite of the intended effect where it's like, yeah, easy. Just say what you did.
Yeah.
And by the way, well, it's literally not correct. You did not blend your biomedical background with the
With
law.
law. What does that even mean? Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
So just cut that. That's a conclusion. Cut that. You don't need the conclusion. Just stick to the facts. I have submitted more than 300 legal correspondences, obtained 3 promotions, and reviewed, now this is a little awkward, more than 115 inventions.
What do you
Why
think about
more
this?
than 115? So 116
Yeah.
or
How about just
119?
more than 100, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or just say 115. If the number is 117, say 117, or say more than 100. But more than 115, that's Fagman. That's a Fagmanism. That's like hey, we're ranked 7th in the country in some weird esoteric corner of the law. And it's like, okay, no, not sorry. If it was Fagman, it wouldn't be 7th. It would be like more than 11.
We're in the top
13.
11.
Yeah, exactly. So just let's go with, yeah. All right.
What do you think about this phrase, obtained 3 promotions?
Well, obtain is super obnoxious.
It is obnoxious.
I think I've said this on the podcast before, but we have a buddy who had a voicemail that was hilarious. It would start with like, yeah, this is so-and-so. I'm not here to obtain your call right now. My buddy's like, we laughed for years about that. I'm not here to obtain your call right now. It's like, okay, wow, it's over.
You got a stick up your ass.
It's just so silly. That word is so ridiculous. So yeah, you got 3 promotions, or you were promoted 3 times, or whatever. It's fine. It's just a little, yeah.
Okay. So I do have I'm just not sure if I would even say it. I feel like you already had us, and now it's almost like you're pushing too hard. I would rather see those promotions in your resume. Like, you can show job title changes.
Yeah, that said, yeah, I agree in part, but I also am like, hey, she's scoring point after point after point here. And like, if I got interrupted right now, this is a slam dunk. You're in.
Okay.
It's great.
So next sentence, these inventions range from cryoablation catheters, I don't know what that is, to EEG monitors, and from wrinkle removers to cauterization devices.
I bet a cryoablation catheter, I bet that's like for kidney stones. I think ablation is like destruction.
To abolish. Yeah.
Yeah. And so cryo is freezing. So I think that's a thing that they stick inside you and get rid of shit.
Okay.
What do you think about this construction? These inventions range from cryoablation catheters to EEG monitors, and from wrinkle removers to cauterization devices. Artsy.
It's a little artsy. If I were going to throw this in to try to show the range of things, I would actually use "and" here twice. So I would say these inventions range from cryoablation catheters and EEG monitors to wrinkle removers and cauterization devices. But at the same time, I don't know. Like, well, okay. I mean, we're picking at like really small things here. I think, okay, good. You've done a lot.
Yeah, it's a little extra flavor. It's specific details about this world. I'm fine with it. Yeah. That's only first paragraph. Let's go a little bit more, because this is definitely the best one we've read in weeks.
Yeah, in several. For each patent application, I read through years of existing inventions to identify similar technologies and research publications, also known as prior art. During patent prosecution, I follow the rules set forth in the Manual of Patent Examining Procedure to write legal office actions for attorneys and provide claim language recommendations that reflect the invention's novelty more accurately. Only after I determine whether the claimed invention is patentably distinct from existing technologies and review an application's compliance under the conditions set forth in Title 35 of the US Code can I grant a patent. These sentences are a little long, but I mean, look, no big mistakes, if any. Well, minor things that I would tweak to make this like polished, but you're in.
Yeah, 100%. This is in. I agree, Anna. I think those sentences are a little long. I don't think you need so many ands. I think that you could probably look for opportunities to cut these sentences down, or at least mix in some shorter sentences. That said, I mean, these facts are so good. You're presenting them in a straightforward manner that the reader can actually understand. It's clear that you know what you're getting yourself into. Yeah, if we're interrupted right now, I do not need to read the rest of this statement.
No, this is great.
This is like, I really think that I would just, even if I wasn't interrupted, I read the first 2 paragraphs of this.
Like,
the writing is clear. The
Yep.
facts are excellent. You're in. That's it. I don't need to, you don't, whatever. Maybe I skim the rest of it just in case there's something crazy in there.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's, you're in. Excellent. That's an A.
A.
Maybe it's not an A plus, but it's an A.
Yeah, I agree. Nice work, Anna.
Yep. Winner.
All right. The next one's from Jerry. You got this?
Yes. Jerry also answered when she ran the gauntlet at lsat.link/statement. When we asked her the question of whether she had done the drilling for the personal statement drilling, where you can read sentences and tell us whether they're good or bad, and like maybe learn a little bit about writing. She said no to that, which might mean that she's not a paid Demon student, which is totally fine. But if she is a paid Demon student, then she's missing an opportunity to use that personal statement drilling.
Yeah, just go to the drill page and look at the bottom. You'll find it there.
Here we go. During the 2 years I worked for Senator Roy Blunt, I was fortunate to take the lead on a piece of legislation that I feel strongly about.
Cut it.
Yeah, name dropping the senator, that's already on your resume. I was fortunate.
Mental state.
Is, well, it's passive and it's also a mental state, and then doubles down on the mental state with the super vague, a piece of legislation that I feel strongly about.
Yep.
And it's like, I don't care how you felt about it. I care what you did about it.
Yep.
So it's a waste. That's a waste of space. Yeah, I think we can cut that whole sentence. Like, you're not really telling me what you did. You're not really telling me what happened.
Yep.
After becoming a legislative aide, I wanted to accomplish something that could make a difference for children in foster care. It's a weird reference to your job again. Like, everybody always does this. I don't know why they do it, but it's like, after I got the job, but we want to know what you did at the job. So why the preamble? And then it's just right back to a mental state. I wanted to accomplish something that could make a difference. Yeah. What did you do about it?
Anyone could say, I wanted to do X. The question is, what did you do?
Well, our world is just chock full of people wanting to do things and not doing them.
Yep.
We want doers, not just wishers. Like, the wish is nice, but doing something about it is so much better. And if you actually do something, then just lead with that. Because we already have a mountain of I wanted to, whatever. I felt strongly. We got too much of that. We need more I did.
Oh no. The next sentence.
The next sentence, yeah. It is an issue I have felt strongly about since I came to Washington, D.C., my freshman year of high school to volunteer at a shelter for women who were not able to take care of their own children. That sentence can't possibly be correct.
Yeah, you're missing a preposition during my freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
But even so, I
Like you're
don't
now
know.
14 years old.
Yeah, that's that's where we're going back to. Like it's weird. We've gone back in time a little bit because we went back to you as a legislative aide, and now we're going back even further. You're only allowed to go back in time once.
And probably don't even do that. Just tell the story in a chronological fashion
Yeah.
whenever possible. And I don't really care what you did in high school. I mean, I like this is an origin story. This is when I started to care so much
Yep.
about this issue. But I don't care until you document that you've actually done something about this issue. I don't care how much you claim to care.
Nope.
Like we're not buying it because you haven't
Ooh.
actually shown us any of the goods yet. It's like, oh, I got this really great thing to sell you. It's super great.
Oh my gosh, it's so awesome. You are
Here's how
gonna
I
love it.
became really interested in this super great thing. You should want it too. No, without like actually delivering the here's the thing. Anyway, I became even more interested in this
Oh my
policy
gosh.
area when I started working for Senator Blunt, who is a champion on adoption issues. Let me ask you this. What action has Jerry taken in the first paragraph of her personal statement?
She has thought, felt.
Right. You know, I mean, like as a freshman, she started volunteering at a shelter.
Yes,
That's a
that's true.
freshman in high school
Yeah.
volunteering at a shelter.
Okay.
That's like, I guess that is a point in your favor, but it's a thing that happened when you were a
So
freshman in
long
high
ago.
school. And I don't
Yeah.
want to be picturing you as a 14-year-old. I'm not admitting 14-year-olds to my
Look,
law school.
bottom line, she was a legislative aide for 2 years for a senator. It's like, okay, there must be something there you did. You say you did something there. You were the lead on a piece of legislation. Let's see you leading on that piece of legislation. We don't have time for freshman year of high school.
Yeah, it undercuts the actual important work that you did as a legislative aide.
Yep.
Like you're a legislative aide, and instead of telling us something that happened in those 2 years, you're going to take us back to high school and a volunteer experience and how much you felt. And this is why I felt. And then I felt even more. It's just a real big wasted opportunity. Second paragraph, after a year of working as a legislative aide in Senator Blunt's office, I knew I wanted to further challenge myself.
Oh my God. All your sentences are your mental state.
Every single sentence is about mental state. Knowing Senator Blunt was passionate about foster care and adoption issues. So now that's you knowing Senator Blunt's mental state, my mental state about his mental state. Like, what did you do? Okay, here we go. We finally get to something that you did. I looked at past bills he introduced that were bipartisan and ones that would have a chance of being voted on. So you're looking at the bills.
Okay.
This search led me to the Timely Mental Health for Foster Youth Act. Instead of just reintroducing it, I wanted to work hard to make it more appealing to both sides of the aisle to increase the likelihood of passage. A little heavy-handed there with, you could have just stopped at make it more appealing to both sides of the aisle, period. We know that you're doing that in order to increase the likelihood of passage. That's obvious, so you can cut that.
Also another mental state. I wanted to.
Well, it's every single sentence that Jerry, you are violating in every sentence. You're violating our commandment not to talk about your mental states.
Yeah.
And it's not that talking about the mental states is bad. It's that it's a waste of space where you could be talking about your actual actions, which say so much more than what you thought or felt or learned.
Yeah.
So it's just a waste of space. The original act was introduced in the 115th Congress, I don't care, to require that an initial mental health screening of any child in foster care must be completed within 30 days after the child enters into foster care. This bill never made it to the House or Senate floors, semicolon. After doing some research on this issue, I concluded that the states did not feel it would be easy to put this law into effect. Another mental state reference with I concluded.
I also don't understand the use of your semicolon there. Like, those two ideas needed to be so closely related.
Yeah, just don't use semicolons, just use periods instead.
Yep.
Last sentence of the second paragraph, I sought to reintroduce it in the 116th Congress, but with more direction to states for its implementation. It's
Okay.
like we're almost to the start of a story now, right?
It's warming up. We're getting there.
Paragraphs of like revving, we're cranking it up. We're about to get to like what actually happened, but you're just taking way too long to get there, Jerry. And it's way too much about what's going on in your own head instead of like, let's get to the point where you actually started this. Like, what did you do? And did you win? Like, okay, I want to skip to the end because I feel like this is a violation. Beginning of the last paragraph, although I am proud of my work, I don't want to hear at whatever comes next. It's like you're shitting on yourself. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, why do people feel like they need to protest at the end to say, I'm not fulfilled? Because that surely is what's coming.
Yeah.
You know, like, we know you're applying to law school, Jerry. You don't need to make these connections for us. You're a legislative aide.
Mm-hmm.
Like the connection to law school is perfectly clear. We want to learn more about what you do, not this, because whatever she's going to say next, I know I could take it a step further with knowledge of the law. Like, that's a state that could be in anybody's personal statement, which means it does not belong in yours.
Yep.
This is a common thread through all of my projects, whether working on adoption issues, judiciary policy, law enforcement issues, or banking and financial services issues. God, that's a lot of issues.
Yeah.
I left. Whoa, this is weird. What the fuck? Okay, so I thought she was wrapping it up with this further step, knowledge of the law, whatever. But now she's dropping new facts into the last conclusion paragraph. I left Senator Blunt's office to expand my knowledge and skills by working as a policy advisor for Arent Fox LLP and pursue the study of law.
I just think you worked for 2 years in Senator Blunt's office, and you worked as a policy advisor for Arent Fox, which is a great firm, by the way. It's in Washington, D.C. I remember walking by it all the time because it was right next to my office. But it's like, why on earth were we talking about something you did as a freshman in high school? You have years of experience in very professional law-related fields. Well, you've wasted so much of your space on things that just don't matter.
I'm noticing now that there's a semicolon in the previous paragraph, and there's a semicolon in this final sentence, and the word passion, which I think that needs to be a new rule that we don't read statements that have the word passion.
Just search.
That's the brown M&Ms, dude. That needs to get out of there.
This went through the gauntlet because there is a rule that says don't use the word passion or unique.
People don't read in that form, dude. It's too long, and people are just like check. They're just cheesing the form. They're not actually doing it. Anyway, my passion remains to help others through our legislative system, semicolon. So it's a reference to the mental state. It's the word passion, which is just so gross. Just stop it. Semicolon. To accomplish this, I need the knowledge gained from a good legal education, which is just like so boring, mundane. It could be in anybody's statement. It's just such a waste of space. You have, boy, this is, this is really a good pair here to contrast Anna's personal statement with Jerry's personal statement. Both of these people have like badass experience.
Yeah.
But Anna gets right to like, here's what I do.
Yep.
And Jerry's like just going all into her own head with how I feel about it. We have no idea what you actually do. It's just full of all these conclusions and passion and thoughts and feelings. And, like I think they both have the goods, but Anna delivered the goods and Jerry just did not.
Yeah.
Right. This is like Anna, I think they both are probably like A applicants.
Absolutely.
But Anna makes herself look like an A applicant Jerry makes herself look like a C applicant.
Mm-hmm.
It's just bad advocacy to start talking about your freshman year of high school. What? You don't have time. What? You have a page and a half. You have all this awesome experience and you're going to talk about high school and feelings.
She's a policy advisor at a big law firm.
Yeah.
Why?
But she wants to tell you instead about some experience that she had in her freshman year of high school. She wants to tell you how she got interested in, it's like this feelings about how she
An origin story
developed
again.
the feelings.
Yeah.
And instead it's like, boy, you could deliver all that so much more powerfully if you would just talk about your actual work more.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Jerry, that you got a lot of good stuff to talk about. You're just not talking about it. All right. Ready for Aubrey?
Yep.
Okay. Go.
Okay. Entering the workforce at 10 years old gave me valuable organization skills much earlier in life and an appreciation for autonomy that pushed me to start my own business. I don't want to hear about a 10-year-old. God damn it.
I know. Yeah. Plus the conclusion of gave me valuable organization skills.
It's not what you're doing. You're telling us what skills you obtained.
Well, it's also, notice that it's a comparison to nothing. Gave me valuable organization skills much earlier in life. Than what?
Other people? You want to shit on other people in your personal statement?
Well, it must be shitting on other people, because otherwise, what is it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a comparison that she didn't even complete.
Yeah.
Conclusions about a 10-year-old with this weird swipe at everyone else who didn't get these same organization skills so early in life.
Yeah.
Second sentence.
Now I am the sole owner and operator of an in-home tutoring business. Okay.
You could start with that potentially.
Yeah.
You'd have to cut the now, but just I am the sole owner and operator of an in-home tutoring business. Okay, good. That tells me something about you and what you do and who you are.
Sure. There's still a part of me that's like, feels like this is protesting or overselling. It's like sole owner and operator. How about you tutor at your house? Like I tutor, and what do you tutor?
I don't mind. I agree with sole. I agree. Sole owner and operator is heavy-handed.
Okay.
But you could say I own and operate.
Mm-hmm. And
notice, by the way, that's notice the passive construction.
Yep.
Aubrey has chosen here. I am the sole owner and operator. And instead, you could have used the active verbs own and operate. So you could have said, I own and operate an in-home tutoring business, which is so much more powerful than the use of the verb to be with I am the sole owner and operator.
Yep.
Okay, third sentence.
Okay. Sorry, one sec. I'm writing down these 10-year
violations.
Yeah.
Rampant violations. I don't think our gauntlet is having the intended effect at all.
Nope, it's not. Maybe it's too wordy.
Yeah.
We violated our own rules.
Yeah.
I'll have to try again. Okay. I specialize primarily in mathematics with secondary expertise in social studies and language arts. Oh, I really don't want to hear about language arts. In addition, I offer remote paper-space editing services.
That could be a copy paste error, but while you talk about it, I'm going to go look and see if that's a copy paste error or if that's actually just an error in the middle of a claim about editing abilities. Literally adjacent to the word editing.
Don't mention your writing experience, skills, or anything. I don't want to hear about your writing because that just puts a magnifying glass on what I'm reading in that very moment, and it damn well better be perfect. And I don't know why
Okay.
it is, but everybody who does this is making mistakes either in the moment they're talking about their writing or just before or after it.
That said, I believe that that was a copy paste issue. Aubrey submitted in a PDF, and when I copy paste that paper dash was at the end of a line. And so when I pasted it, I'm willing to give Aubrey credit that that was just a copy paste error on my
fair
part.
enough. She didn't make
Yes.
the mistake, but it doesn't matter. I don't think people should be talking about writing. I just don't.
I do agree that it is fraught, and you probably could avoid, like, let's
You
just
special. She specializes primarily in mathematics. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. Yeah. Well, the mathematics is the thing that's going to separate you from all of your competition.
Yeah, who hate math, by the way.
Right.
And that's
Like,
why they're going to law school.
Yeah. If you're good at math, if you're good at any STEM, anything, you should definitely talk about it if you can. I mean, like, demonstrate those skills, because those skills are pretty rare among your competitors. Paper editing services are super common among your competitors. So just don't even talk about it.
I create, update, and maintain a weekly schedule accommodating clients' preferred days and times.
Pretty. Oh, are you also proficient in Microsoft Word? I mean, that's just like, I get it that that's things that you do.
Yeah.
That's not impressive though. Like,
we're saying it's okay to be boring, but not super mundane.
Well, just like, everyone has a calendar.
Yeah. And it's par for the course, right?
What else
I
you
hope
got?
that you can accommodate your clients.
The rest of this is also like very mundane. I mean, keep going.
Scheduling is coordinated between upwards of 20 clients. Scheduling is coordinated. Wait, whoa. We just went into the passive voice.
Scheduling is the subject here. The verb is.
Who is doing the coordination? You or your clients or someone else?
It needs to say, I coordinate. But instead it's scheduling is coordinated.
Scheduling. Now, this actually really makes me upset because you just told me you're a paper editing or a paper editor. Scheduling is coordinated between upwards of 20 clients. Like, what? That's another weird number usage, right? So you have under 20 clients, upwards of 20 clients with a minimum of 10 at any given time. I maintain 40 plus weekly work hours with an average of 30 tutoring hours and 10 administrative hours per week. I don't care about these details.
No.
I keep everything on track by sending day of reminders to my clients, then ensuring that I travel between in-person appointments on time.
Error.
What error are you looking at?
Look at it.
Oh, then, yeah.
No.
Well, that's also one though.
Okay.
Then ensuring.
Because it needs to be and then.
Yeah.
But
yep.
Ensuring?
Oh, wait.
What was the first verb?
I keep everything on track by sending.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
So you need to drop the comma and add an and.
Okay. It's not an error, but it's super annoying construction. I keep everything on track, which is just a conclusion, by sending and ensuring. Okay. You mean that could just all say, I send day of reminders to my clients, period. I travel between in-person appointments on time. Also, really, the entire first paragraph and all you're going to talk about is the scheduling.
Yeah.
Like, don't you do good work with your clients?
Yeah.
Like, is your main selling point is that you show up on time?
You got to start strong. You can't start with your mediocre argument.
I mean, that can't be your best foot forward. I hope it's not. Now, the part where you own and operate your own business, that's your best foot forward. I really like that part. But then you've got like 4 sentences here about calendaring and coordinating and how many hours you work and keeping everything on track with reminders and ensuring that I travel between in-person appointments on time.
You know how to use Google Maps? Yeah.
Also, why aren't they traveling to you? Or why aren't you just doing it online?
Yeah.
But that's, I mean, anyway,
Hey, what do you think about this plus too? It just seems overly informal to me.
40
40
plus.
plus. It's
Well,
the
you know what I thought was informal was the upwards of.
upwards of 20.
Upwards of 20. That means more than 20, right?
Does that?
I don't know.
Upwards?
I would eliminate that. I
It's
think
just
that
awkward.
it's
Yeah.
a very casual and non-specific, like really, Ben and I don't even know what you mean by that.
Yeah.
So I think you need to cut that. That was, boy, we took a
Oh,
long
it's
time.
also, sorry, it's an error between upwards of 20 clients. And then there's no other side of that, right? If you're
Yeah.
between two things,
That's
then you
one
need the other
sentence
thing.
removed from Aubrey making claims about his paper editing abilities,
Yeah.
and it's just a broken sentence.
So the phone rings. What do you think?
Um, Aubrey has a tutoring business. Aubrey is not as good at writing and editing as he might think.
Yep.
It sounds like a small time tutoring endeavor because Aubrey is emphasizing so much the time and the schedule and the showing up on time and the traveling from client to client. It's like, okay, like I don't see the winning,
Yeah.
I guess. But
Yep.
I feel like maybe we could read quickly the second paragraph.
Sure. Thoroughly vetting a student's ability in a given subject, comma, I lesson plan for each client to create a steady progression over a semester. Ugh, there's something this is awkward about all of this. Lesson plan, you're using that as a verb.
Mm-hmm.
It's got, I don't know. It's I plan lessons. That's
Right.
hey.
I think that would be better. Yeah.
Also, I don't love these long preambles. Thoroughly vetting a student's ability in a given subject. Like I'm like, who's doing what? I have to wait until the end of that to find out.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure if you're going to use lesson plan as a verb, you would need the dash there, right?
I think so.
Or
To make
hyphen.
sure
Well, you would
it's
hyphenate that, right?
hyphen it so that it becomes a verb, a single word.
Right.
I also, well, actually it's tough because some actually hyphens are often dropped in verbs like
I would
sign
prefer
off.
plan lessons.
Just say
but
plan, lesson
yeah.
plan. It's such a like unique phrase to your industry. I also incorporate proven lesson plans, and now you're using it as a noun, from experienced educators.
Wait, you also do? Why also?
Yeah.
I mean, you were just lesson planning for your client.
You could do this as part of that.
As you're doing that, you're incorporating proven lesson plans, but then that's like so heavy-handed with continuing to say lesson plan so much.
Yeah.
From experienced educators. That almost makes it sound like you're not.
It's also just like a conclusion. I'm like, who are you talking about? Someone else.
I'm going to shut up. I'm going to see if you can finish this second paragraph.
Sure. At client's request, I make suggestions for a student's school schedule or individual study. Okay, drop the at their request. Just do it. In particular, I host a weekly current events discussion, accommodating a college student stuck in online classes by the pandemic to emulate the collegiate environment he lacked. An up-to-date activity log is kept for every student and made available to parents or educators when requested. All this is in the passive. I also write end of the year progress reports detailing a student's previous weaknesses, progression seen, passive, and suggestions for further improvement. This is not good.
It's tough. It's like it's doubling down. The main point of that second paragraph is like more scheduling.
Yeah.
I definitely do not understand the fourth sentence. It says, in particular, I host a weekly current events discussion, comma.
Nope, I don't understand it either. Yeah.
Accommodating a college student stuck in online classes by the pandemic, comma, to emulate the collegiate environment he lacked.
Are you helping this student? Are you helping others by seeing what you could do for this student or what they Should do.
Well,
I have no
the
idea
in
what's going on.
particular at the beginning of that sentence indicates that this is an example
Yeah.
of, at a client's request, you're making suggestions for a student's school schedule or individual study. This is not an example of that, because you're not making suggestions for this student's school schedule or individual study. So this is not even an example of what you were just talking about. But then you pretend it is because you say in particular.
Yeah.
And what do? You host a weekly current events discussion, which makes me think that there's like 10 people there.
Yeah, it does. That's what it feels like. What's
But,
going on? Yeah.
comma, accommodating a college student stuck in online classes by the pandemic, which is like bitching about the plight of this student, which is not unique at all because everybody went through the pandemic. And you're doing that in order to emulate the collegiate environment he lacked.
Emulate it?
How is that emulating the collegiate environment, like a current events discussion with his tutor? That's emulating the collegiate environment?
Okay, let me just clarify here. Emulate means to set an example as, right? Not recreate. I feel like Aubrey's trying to recreate the collegiate environment he lacked.
Emulate. Verb. To match or surpass a person or achievement, typically by imitation. Yeah, it just means imitate.
Mm-hmm.
Very first synonym here, imitate.
Okay.
So yeah, it's the intent was to imitate the collegiate environment that the client lacked by hosting a current events discussion. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
We're out of time for Aubrey, but I'd rather get to the winning. What do you think about this? Boy, 1, 2, 3, 4th paragraph. I could go either way on this story. Although my business experience has been primarily positive, comma, I'm like, oh no, here comes the oversharing of bad shit. I chose to cut ties with 3 clients who violated my policies and refused the resulting fees. Despite attempts to compromise, I had to stop offering my services to these clients for the health of my business. Ben, from time to time, we have to stop offering services to certain clients.
Yep.
It's a bummer when that happens. It is part of doing business.
Yep.
I don't think that would make it into our personal statement. If you were writing a personal statement or I was writing a personal statement, I just don't think that the failures or the times where we couldn't help somebody and we had to say, I'm sorry, we can't help you, here's your money back or whatever, which that's not even what's happening here to Aubrey. This is like clients who are refusing to pay, which is just, I guess that's also part of doing business, but
yeah, sorry. you don't run around with a microphone saying, hey, well, I stopped helping people who don't pay me. It's like, oh, okay, that's good. What? Why? Are you telling me this?
Oh boy, this last paragraph is a mess. It goes back to that job that I had at 10 was at our family-owned coffee shop, working weekends and vacations through middle and high school. After graduating high school, I began working at Costco, continuing part-time while completing my bachelor's degree. So it's like a whole other story, not about your business anymore. Weirdly going back into high school and shit again, or no, college. In my freshman year, I joined the capitalized mathematics department as a part-time grader. No caps on that. Boy, this is just, that's a mess. I don't know. You final words for Aubrey before we get to Danny?
Seems like there could be something here to talk about. So thankfully there is a story, but I would like to just see you winning. I'd like to see a different side of this story.
Yeah.
I don't see it in here.
All right, let's, do you think we have time to crank out? We got 2 more on the list.
Yep, let's do it. Sorry, I'm just updating this list here.
Yep, here's Danny. Again, the formatting is bad. Go ahead and indent your paragraphs and put line breaks in between your paragraphs. You probably do both of those things. Like it just gives the reader some room to breathe. This
Yep.
is all left justified, including no indent on the paragraph. Go ahead and indent those paragraphs for us, please.
Mhm.
Danny answered no again to the drilling question. We have a drilling feature on the LSAT daemon. You can drill personal statement stuff and get better at writing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm an automation engineer. I support the manufacturing operations of multiple companies which produce pharmaceuticals and cleaning supplies.
Okay.
I like it that it's short. The sentences are clear. Support, though, is vague.
Support is vague. Yep.
Multiple companies. I think you could just get rid of multiple, right? We never need multiple, several, many, numerous. We can always omit that adjective.
There's a mistake here too. It's
The which.
Yeah, that a
should
lot
be
of people,
that.
it should be that. If you're going to use the word which, you need a comma before it. That's the rule.
Okay. Automation engineer. I'm interested, like
Engineer.
any engineer. I'm interested.
Yep.
The summer before my junior year.
Comma.
Missing comma, but
Yeah.
but I'm laughing already because it's like, why are we going back to college, for fuck's sake? You're a professional person.
Yep.
The summer before my junior year, I worked as a production intern. You're an engineer, dude. Why are you telling me about an internship? I worked as a production intern at Vintech International, an automated parking system provider. I assembled and tested components like ticket printers, LCD displays, and keypads. Sometimes parts would not work correctly. I asked my supervisor to teach me how to repair these faulty components. I became the go-to to repair faulty devices that customers sent in. For example, I resoldered malfunctioning printer circuit boards and troubleshot the contacts of unresponsive keypads. I continued to learn the complete station assembly process, from weatherproofing the station cabinets to doing the final programming of the printers and internal computers. I also took more responsibility of shop management. That's blue squiggly underlined, dude. That needs to be for shop management, such as receiving new inventory, maintaining tooling, and filing the corresponding paperwork. I kept track of new customer orders and notified our operations manager when we needed more parts to build the vending stations in time. This is all something that happened to you when you were an intern in your junior year of college. Why are you wasting this space?
Yeah, it's odd. It's like Danny is kind of understanding our request that you tell us what you did. And Danny is doing that, but why this story?
Why did you go so far back in time? I would so much rather hear about modern shit. When new technicians were hired, they found it difficult to learn from the sheets of notes in scattered notebooks and legal pads. I wrote new standardized processes for station programming and testing by combining years worth of old notes with conversations with our software engineering team. My result was a step-by-step programming and testing guide for our two most popular vending stations. Pretty sure you would need hyphens there on step-by-step.
Yep.
Not only did this guide help new technicians, but it also sped up the original techniques by around 25%. Still a junior in college. When COVID struck the next summer, my upcoming internship at a multinational manufacturing company was canceled. Oh, I see. So it's protesting too much. Like, Danny, when you led with I'm an automation engineer, we thought you were like graduated and working in a professional, like a full-time job. And then you go back to this internship and we're like, what? Why are you telling me about this internship? But then it becomes clear that that's because you got stuck and didn't get the job as a, I don't know.
Yeah.
I decided to pick up a new hobby while searching for a summer job.
Hey, stop for 1 second. I was thinking about this internship, right? one way to make this a lot better, if this is what you have to talk about, don't talk about yourself as a production intern at Ventec International. Just say, at Ventec International, I assembled and tested components like ticket printers. Then I don't see you as a junior and I don't see you as an intern. Instead, I see you as an engineer testing shit.
Yeah. Don't describe yourself as an engineer. Don't mention that this is in your junior year of college. Exactly.
Or not as an engineer, but as an intern, right?
Right. But yeah, right. No, we start to see you as an engineer, which you are.
Exactly. Yeah.
So just don't say intern and don't say junior year of college.
Yeah. Yep.
Got it. Perfect. That's an excellent edit, because that changes. It's like, you don't have to change so much. You just allow us to picture you as a full-time professional person.
Yep.
Instead of picturing you as a junior intern.
We're not lying. They can look at your resume and see you were an intern, but even then, like, what title did you have? You don't need to say intern unless that was your like only title. But it doesn't matter. The point is what image do they see in their head as they're reading this? They're not going to get all like, oh, well, this is when he was an intern. They're just going to see you as a professional.
This is about to go completely off the rails.
Okay.
I decided to pick up a new hobby while searching for a summer job. We don't really want to hear about your job searches ever. And then this just gets weird. On my second day mountain biking, I broke my wrist, exclamation point.
Okay, therefore I should admit you to law school.
Okay, exclamation points, not allowed.
Banned. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't get it. You don't get even one. No exclamation points ever. It's such a weird, like, wow, I broke my wrist. It's like, whoa, that was a very impactful, important moment for one person. And it's not me, and it's not Ben, and it's not anyone who's ever reading this. It's you. And when I went to sell my bike, I saw I could space double my money. Poor editing. Your reader sees that, your reader catches that shit, and your reader just goes, what are you doing? Why are you giving me sloppy shit? I think we're done.
Yeah, I think so.
He goes on to talk about making a bunch of money buying and selling bikes, which I just really think it undercuts all of the previous stuff. Like, you're muddying the waters here. Like, what? This fact you started buying and selling bikes. I was ready to picture you as an engineer. Like, I thought you were a professional working person, and now you're telling me about this weird buying and selling. At an outdoor volleyball tournament, I struck up a conversation with a friendly mother. She turned out to be the wife of my current employer. I sent out my resume the same day and was working in the office the next week. And now you're just like blatantly not following our advice. Yep. We don't want to hear about your resume. We don't want to hear about your applications to any job ever. That's not what we want.
If you didn't get the job, I don't understand why you're telling us. And if you did get it, then we want to know about what you did there, not that you got the job.
Yeah. Stop violating all of our advice. I mean, really, like, it's insulting. I don't know. I feel mildly insulted. Maybe I'm too easy to insult, but like, we work hard at this shit and we really want to help you, but then you just don't follow our advice. The last paragraph starts with, although I believe my current work is important, I feel called to a different career. And that's violating this, do not shit on your own experience.
Yeah. And
we know you're applying to law school. We know you're looking to change.
Mental state.
Yeah, mental states. I don't know. That's a C- at best.
As it stands, it's low.
All right, one more.
Okay, I'm just writing this down really quick. Okay.
All the violations.
Yeah, we got a good list.
We need to improve our gauntlet, and we're going to have to just start saying, like, we're going to have to it's going to just be blanket reject. Like, when we see these blatant violations, it's just going to be like, no, we're not reading that. Sorry, we don't have time. Yeah. I'm not trying to act all big time. I just, like, we get a mountain of these submissions, and I want to focus on the good ones. Yeah. Like, especially, I mean, the first one today was just all-star, Anna.
Amazing.
That was amazing. Okay.
Yeah. If we had more time, we could actually read all of the good ones and maybe help people see the whole picture.
Yeah.
This is from Sean. After working for a landscaping company over the summer, I started a landscaping group with a friend from the company to work around my school schedule.
Cut that. I'll cut that sentence. Like, why do you have to bring up after working for someone else? Like over the summer is a reference to a season. Why?
Yeah.
For what? Like, what does that do to move the ball forward?
Yeah.
I started a landscaping company. Okay, great. That's a thing you did. That's a point in your favor.
While working for the landscaping company, I don't know whether this is the one you started or the one you worked for, I worked on many large-scale projects which required month-long operations on the house or office. The house or office? What house are you referring to? Okay, so we also see a violation of which again.
Yeah.
Which versus that. I'm gonna write that down. Eventually, I joined a job. Oh, okay. I joined a job with a small group of between 2 and 4 people.
Wait, what?
How many people
joined
were on
a
the
job with a small group of between 2 and 4 people?
That literally means 3. Because if you're between those two, you there's only one number left. 3.
Yeah, like, is this a riddle? Ben just solved it instantly. Ben's smart, so he got it. But Ben has solved your tricky puzzle that you joined a group with 3 people. It's a small group of between 2 and 4. Okay.
You
Sorry,
can't make
Sean.
this stuff up, dude.
No,
Okay.
you really can't. No, truth is way stranger than fiction. If we tried to write comedy bad personal statements, we would never do this good of a job.
We wouldn't be that good.
Nope.
Okay. After. Geez Louise. Every sentence here has a preamble. After working for a landscaping company over the summer, while working for the landscaping company, eventually, comma, after working for a few weeks, comma. The same with the next 2. Next 3. Soon after, comma, many times, comma, while there.
Yeah. Listen, y'all, your sentences don't need to have a comma after the first 2 fucking words every time. Like, just say what you did. Stop with, why does every sentence have to start with like that? It's so weird. I don't get it. Soon after, comma, many times, comma, while there, comma, for instance, comma.
Oh my God. Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay. Anyways, after working for a few weeks, the foreman began showing me the irrigation systems and how to fix common problems. Okay, that's what the foreman is doing. What are you doing? Soon after, we began working closely together on days where it was just the superintendent and us.
What does that mean? Why is that an important fact to share?
Is this a bromance that's brewing?
Right. It's like, we got super close, man. We saw some shit, man. Us and that superintendent. We began, look at that sentence. Soon after, we began working closely together on the days where it was just the superintendent and us.
It sounds wrong.
I just don't understand where you're going with that. What? Like, that's like, snap the ball, hand it off to the running back who like just kind of starts walking sideways / maybe backward, doing nothing. Like, where are you going? Are you not? We need to move the ball forward. Like, I would prefer a 1-yard run up the middle than a just wander into the backfield. This is not going in. What are we doing?
What are we doing? Yeah. Many times, comma, he decided to take me on calls he got to previous. Wait, what? Many times he decided to take me on calls he got to previous sites to work on irrigation issues.
This is like the superintendent chose me to go work on irrigation.
While there, I gained hands-on experience of how to troubleshoot with irrigation and quickly learned the layout of the system based on the information within the control panel. Okay. For instance,
that's a broken sentence though, right? I mean, I gained hands-on experience of how to troubleshoot with irrigation.
Yeah.
No, while there, I learned how to troubleshoot irrigation.
There you go.
There's all these extra weird prepositions. Okay, anyway, so third paragraph, go.
For instance, when we went to a large property that was leaking somewhere in the system, we had to individually turn on each system and interpret the computer output to see which one was the problem.
Okay.
Once we determined the problem was on the fourth line, he turned it on. He turned it on once more while I inspected the area where, according to the diagram, there were pipes to the sprinklers. These sentences are long. Eventually, I found the spot where I could see water bubbling up and dug the trench around the line. Sure enough, so many preambles. There was a crack in the PVC pipe. And after he shut the water off, I cut off the broken part and glued on a new piece of pipe. We then tested the system one last time and everything worked perfectly with all the sprinklers receiving water.
I don't want to hear this story. I mean, I'm fine with mundane stories that show you working, but I want to see you working in more professional capacities. Like the fact that you learned how to get out the glue, fix PVC pipe. I mean,
yeah,
it's just like, where are you going with this? Why are you telling me about this story that, by the way, this happened over the summer before you started your own goddamn company, which I'd much rather hear about you running the company than this, like, here's how I learned how to fix a sprinkler system.
Yeah, well, this is odd too, because now we're hearing about this again. After the summer came to a close, I quit since my classes conflicted with the work schedule. However,
I don't care. Like, I just don't care. What?
So, in the interest of working with my way through college, I called up a friend I made at the company who was in a similar situation and asked him if he wanted to continue in landscaping. Way too much like origin story detail that we just do not need.
Cut everything so far. All that goes.
Yeah.
Start your business and then tell me about running your business, which is about what he's going to get to. So let me hear one more paragraph.
Sure. We decided to begin by advertising in our neighborhoods to see if there was any demand for landscaping this time of year.
Just put a period after neighborhoods. We decided to begin by advertising in our neighborhoods, period. What did you do next?
We put up, well, he says so, but you could just say, instead of drop the word so, just say, we put up flyers, went door to door occasionally.
Cut occasionally.
Went door to door and posted our ads on Facebook and Nextdoor. M dash.
No, it's not an M dash.
I think that's what he's trying to do. He's got two dashes, which proved to be the most effective method. Okay, you could have just done a comma.
Yeah, get rid of that. Everybody needs to get rid of the fancy punctuation. It's like you need to use periods and sometimes commas, but nothing else.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know how to do it right.
Yeah, no one does. M dashes. Okay. Fake M dashes. One of the jobs we got was a project which involved, again, violating which versus that, which involved removing the current dead grass, applying a few inches of topsoil, and reseeding the yard. The customer also wanted advice on where to move her flowers since the hydrangeas were doing poorly in the shade. We advised that she put them closer to the front of the yard, since it seemed to get the most sunlight and would be a welcoming invitation to the house. Once we added that to our list, we began digging up the grass and bagging it to bring to a composting facility, semicolon. However, it was clear that there would be too much for our cars. I don't know, man. I think I'm just like exhausted from the first few paragraphs.
I want to hear more about, we're way over time. I think we're done with this.
Yeah.
But I want to hear more about the operation of the business. I'm much more interested in the part about how you generated the business. You don't then need to go into the hydrangeas and they were doing poorly in the shade.
And this is why we recommended where they go.
That's too much. That's too specific on details that don't matter. I want to see you as a thriving, successful business.
Yeah.
That does not involve you talking about removing the dead grass and applying topsoil. It's like, here's how we got business. I want to hear about the numbers. I want to hear about the referrals. Maybe I want to hear about marketing, negotiating prices. Okay, that's fine. but you're throwing in all these weird extraneous details about stuff that don't help to move the ball forward. Again, it's just like it's the the weird football play that just goes absolutely nowhere, the like kind of just wandering off.
Yeah.
Last paragraph,
Okay.
because those can sometimes be instructive. Why don't you read the last paragraph?
Yeah. It says our business would include these small scale projects throughout the next year and a half until we could go to college campuses and had to stop working together. Oh. But ultimately, learning from the foreman and my interest in irrigation became a cornerstone of the services we supplied.
That doesn't even make sense. What?
A cornerstone?
Well, no, learning from the foreman became a cornerstone of the services you supplied.
That act of learning.
That sentence doesn't, that's a broken sentence. That's just not a sentence.
We supplied, since many of our jobs, including fixing up sprinkler systems, especially ones that had not been winterized and burst over the winter.
Back to the sprinklers.
End of personal statement.
Drop the mic. Boom.
Yeah.
Strange. Just odd. I can see Sean trying to take our advice.
Yeah.
But the execution on it is just not good. I don't like that. Like, Sean, you don't need to tell me that you're not doing this business anymore. In fact, please don't tell me that you're not doing this business anymore. Like you and your buddy, our business would include these our business included. I don't think anybody should use the word would.
Yeah. That's one of our rules, right? Oh, we added last time.
It sure should be, because
like
I think you can do Control F for the word would. And I almost guarantee that it just shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
You could have said our business included these small scale projects throughout the next year and a half until we could go to college campuses and had to stop working together, which you just cut all that. Like that sentiment of, oh yeah, well, we had to stop because we were, we went to college. It's like, okay, so then I don't give a shit about your business anymore. It's like not a successful business. If you're gonna bring up a business, let me believe that it is still an ongoing concern.
Yeah.
Please don't, oh yeah, well, we did this small scale projects, but then we stopped.
Yeah.
That's not helping your case. All right. Thank you, Sean. Thank you everybody for submitting. We do appreciate your submissions.
Yeah.
And I hope that you take our advice the way it's intended, which is only to help you. We are not here to mock anybody. I mean, as we go, it is funny. And so we laugh. But the intention is not to mock anybody. Our intention is to just help you get better.
Yeah. Hopefully you see why it's funny. Laugh at yourself as we try to laugh at ourselves and make it better.
Yeah.
All right. Here's today's violations. Number 1, stop capitalizing. This was probably one of like 3 minor mistakes that, who was that? Anna made. I don't remember who was first, but in any case, she capitalized patent examiner. Don't capitalize job titles, basically. Also, avoid these words. We keep hearing them over and over again. Passion, unique, obtain. You don't need them. Right.
We had a violation about numbers. People just throw in weird numbers like more than 115 inventions, or they say upwards of 20 clients or 40 plus weekly work hours. Like either say the exact number or say, you might sometimes say more than 100 or something.
Yeah.
If you don't want to say the specific number. Between 2 and 4 people, that was probably the funniest one.
Okay.
Yep.
No more mental states. Specifically, we're going to focus on feelings here because Jerry couldn't stop talking about her feelings. I feel strongly about, this was all from the same statement. I feel strongly about, I wanted to, I felt strongly about, I became even more interested. I knew I wanted to work hard. I concluded that. All of these things are mental states. We want to know what you did,
Yeah.
not what you thought or felt.
That's just a waste of space is all, because you could instead say what you actually did instead of just wasting so much time talking about how you felt about it or what you learned about it. Another big problem is that people shit on their own situation. This happens almost exclusively in the last paragraph, but people love throwing in, although I'm proud of my work, and then like say something negative. Although my business experience has been primarily positive, and then say something negative. Despite attempts to compromise, although I believe my current work is important, just stop it. We know that you're looking for a change. You wouldn't be applying to law school if you didn't want to drop a major change bomb on your life. Okay, we get it. You're going to do something different. Yep. Law school is going to be extremely different. It's going to be the weirdest thing you've ever done. Legal practice is the weirdest world. Like there is no other world that is similar to the legal world. And we understand that you're looking for a change. You don't need to say you're looking for a change.
Yep. We also had the vague verbs. We do like the I and then verb construction, but people still are tempted to say I worked, or I supported, or something like that. Work is just a vague word. What did you do at work? That would be nice.
The weird tense, maybe somebody can email help@thinkinglsat.com and tell us what's up with the tense of the verb tense that includes would. Yeah. But people all the time, instead of saying I wrote 6 LSAT books, I could say I would write 6 LSAT books.
That's so bizarre.
Over the
subsequent, or I would write books,
5 years or whatever. And it's just like, it's never correct, I don't think, or it's never necessary. And it's always so strange because it's like you go from a more straightforward, just past tense into this other verb tense that says would, and then the verb instead of just the verb with an ed on it. So you can go ahead and do a Control F on your statement for the word would. And I'm pretty sure you don't need them. Show me an example of one where you think you need it, but I don't think you do.
Yeah. We saw people going back in time over and over and over again. We've granted you the option to go back in time once, but it's certainly not required and you don't have to. But people talking about being 10 years old, people talking about the summer before their junior year, and then the internship before that. It's just okay.
Yeah. I think we need a hard and fast rule that we're not talking about high school or prior.
Yeah, I feel like we've said that so many times, right?
Yeah, but I don't want to hear about anything that happened to you in high school or before. And even if you are going to tell me a story about college, you don't need to mention that it was in college. Yeah. You could just tell me what you did. You don't have to say in my junior year. You don't have to say as an intern. You could just say what you did at the job.
Next one's you.
Oh, don't mention your writing experience.
Yep.
It's so bad when you talk about writing. All it does is it raises the bar on our expectations for your writing. Talking about paper editing services, talking about I was a writing tutor, just omit all that shit. I mean, because it's like you're just wanting to play the game on hard mode.
Yeah, you just up the level for no reason.
Yeah.
Avoid the passive voice. We saw that a lot today. I think it might have come from the same submission, but progression was seen. Okay, you saw the students progress. Scheduling is coordinated. Who's doing that coordinating?
That's the problem with that passive voice. Like the passive voice is used when you want to hide the subject.
Which is exactly the opposite of what we're telling every single person to do. Start your sentences with I, make you the subject, make you the actor.
Yeah. Y'all got to stop it on the fancy punctuation. All of your privileges are revoked. I just don't want to see semicolons, colons, exclamation points, for God's sake. M dashes. I like an M dash. I overuse M dashes, but you guys just don't. It's like it's drawing attention to the writing too much. it takes away from your story, and it
Well,
makes us
everyone
go
keeps
like,
just using them incorrectly. So I
well,
think
right.
if it was sprinkled in there once and it was used correctly, and it was used because there was some need and that punctuation fulfilled that need, but that's not what's happening. You guys are using it wrong. You're trying to force it in where it's completely unnecessary. So we just need a hard and fast rule. You cannot do it. If
Yeah.
you do it, we're going to say it's a violation.
Well, there are people who will do it and we won't even notice it because they did it correctly.
Yeah.
But like, if we notice it, it's probably wrong. So just don't do it.
Okay. Which versus that. Here's the rule. It's pretty easy, but people mess it up all the time. If you use which, like for example, I went to the company which was located to the south. You need a comma before that which.
Okay.
If you don't have a comma, then you need to use the word that. We didn't see this error today, but I see it all the time in these sentences and personal statements. People are talking about a person, and when they describe them, they use the word that. So for example, if I said, the
guy
who,
that brought me my pizza.
Yeah, the guy that brought you your pizza. No, it's the guy who brought you your pizza.
Yeah.
It's a person, not a thing.
Okay.
So, okay.
Last one, just stop with the fucking preambles on every sentence. Some of you write in a manner where every single sentence starts with soon after, comma, and then you say your sentence. Many times, comma, and then you start your sentence. While there, comma, and then you start your sentence. Stop, you're like abusing the comma. Instead, just start with the actual action. I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. It's just a much more straightforward form of writing that doesn't waste. It's like a verbal tick when you guys keep putting in these preambles at the beginning of every single sentence.
I guess we call them preambles. I don't know what it is that we're actually trying to refer to. In some cases, they are transition phrases, and transition phrases can be good. They can help the reader follow where you're going, but it's like some of you, it seems like you have to transition every fucking sentence, and then it's just, you're kind of beating me over the head with what's happening. Anyways, be LSAT famous. If you want to send in your personal statement, go to lsat.link/statement. And don't please just check those commandments pretending that you have followed them when you have not. We're going to have to think about how to update that form. But in any case, if you have questions for the show, LSAT or law school admissions related, email help@thinkinglsat.com. If you have questions about the LSAT demon, which is how you can prepare for the LSAT with us, with me and Nathan and our amazing team, by the way, which has grown over the years and is huge now, email help@thinkinglsat.com. That was episode 318 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. Thanks all y'all for listening. Nice knowing you. Don't pay for law school.